All right. Good evening, you guys. How's it going? Tonight, we're going to talk about investing in Baltimore. I love investing in Baltimore. A lot of our coaching students are investing in Baltimore, some of which are on the call tonight, on the webinar tonight. If you guys have any questions about any of the things that I talk about, go ahead and unmute yourselves and or put in the chat your question. Let me put up the chat bar here, slide it over here. All right. So I'm excited for tonight, you guys. I had been investing in the Washington area, Washington, D.C. area, Prince George's County area for many, many years. I don't know, at least 10 years before I got into Baltimore. I a number of my real estate agents, a number of my investors was investing in Baltimore, and I just didn't think that Baltimore was the area for me. It was, in my opinion, at the time, was a little stigmatized. It was sort of a rough city, tough neighborhoods. I didn't see the return on investment, things like that. So I didn't invest in Baltimore initially. And then about 20 years ago, one of my mentors, actually, Thurman Battles, said he knew someone that had just purchased six properties at an auction, and they didn't want the properties, and they were selling the six properties at the time. I want to say it was 18,000 for six properties, 3,000 a piece. It would take a note on the 18,000. Was I interested in partnering with him? And I said yes. So we bought those. We gave that investor 18,000, and then we owned those six properties. And to be honest with you, we just sat on them. We just paid the taxes and just kind of waited until the market got better and the areas got better. They were all over in West Baltimore. And then once the neighborhoods got a little better, about 6 years later, after paying the taxes, we just sold them off, and we probably sold them, I don't know, somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000 a piece. So we made a decent profit on those properties. And I still wasn't really convinced that was the area for me. So a few years later, I decided to take a look. And I remember one Saturday, I got some referrals for some wholesalers. And then I had looked up this one property in Baltimore on hubzu.com, an auction site. So I went up to Baltimore one Saturday morning to look at four properties. One was Lake Avenue in Bel Air, Edison. That was on Hubzu. One was a 2-unit in Dundalk, and two other properties. One property over in the Brooklyn area of Baltimore, where the lady, it was 4-bedroom, and she just wanted just to basically give it away. She said she lived in Upper Marlboro. Her husband had just passed away, and I made her an offer, and we negotiated to 25,000. I still have that property, and that was probably 5 or 6 years ago. At any rate, I went to look at four properties, not expecting to buy any, and ended up buying all four properties. And almost all of those properties I still have today, except for exception, I think maybe one, I still have today. And after that experience, I was able to see the cash flow. It just made sense. As everyone says, Baltimore is block by block. So you really need to understand that and understand how to do comps and things like that in Baltimore. But Baltimore, as time has gone on, I've learned that Baltimore is the number one residential rental area in the United States, because you can buy low and rent high. And so for me, Baltimore has been a buy and hold city. I have flipped properties in Baltimore. I flipped a property on Guilford Avenue, sort of off of North Avenue. And I did flip that property. Actually, I put it on the market after I renovated it for rent and for buy, and someone wanted to buy and purchase that property. And so I have flipped there, but I think that Baltimore is a buy and hold, especially for first-time investors, first-time buy and hold investors. You do have to decide, especially if you're not living in Baltimore, you've got to decide whether you're going to manage that property or not. For many of us, we're sort of absentee. I live in Bowie, Maryland, so I live to get to Baltimore, it's about 30 minutes to get to the Baltimore city line. But depending on where the property is in Baltimore, it could be another 15, 20 minutes for me to get to that property from there, especially if it's, way on the east side of Baltimore. All right. So again, if you guys have any questions, comments, go ahead and put them in the chat. I've got the chat up. And then also, you can unmute yourself if you like. So let's get going. So here are the things that I'm going to talk about. Just sort of an overview of Baltimore's real estate and why real estate. I'm going to talk about the affordability in terms of the prices. I love the prices. The strong rental market, high cash flow, revitalization, and development in Baltimore. The opportunity zones, economic growth and employment opportunities, diverse investment opportunities, and the favorable legislation for investors. Baltimore, as I see in comparison to DC, very investor friendly. And Baltimore almost needs investors because Baltimore has a number of properties that are run down. And so they need investors. And I'll talk about the different programs that Baltimore currently has for investors. All right, so let's talk about the affordability. And so the median home prices is lower than every other area around. And so one thing I like about Baltimore is its location. It's I guess it takes you, I don't know, maybe about an hour and a half to get to Philadelphia. Baltimore gets a lot of Philadelphia investors, a lot of New York City investors, obviously a lot of DC investors. One joke that in a Baltimore investors currently have is if they're having a hard time selling their properties in Baltimore, all they have to do is put an ad in the Washington Post, the New York Times, and Philadelphia's paper, because the way the investors in the other cities compare their prices where they live to Baltimore's prices, and the houses sell quicker. And so for many years, a Baltimore investor would simply put their properties in other cities, either MLS, or not MLS, but in their newspapers and on their Facebook pages to get them sold, because we compare in prices and think, oh, this property on the west side of Baltimore, and let's say Emerson Village, the property is only whatever, $60,000. I'm going to go and buy that property. Where in essence, because where it is in Edmondson, like let's just say it's on Edmondson Avenue, and maybe amongst other board ups, it's really not worth 60, it's probably worth 30. But psychologically, we think 60,000 compared to we're buying for 300 and 400 and 500,000 in DC, that's a good buy. Which simply means, you guys, that you've got to know your numbers, you've got to run your comps, and you've got to look for good bargains in Baltimore. And sometimes align yourself with either a real estate agent or another investor in Baltimore that knows their numbers. I will tell you, though, there is an abundance of opportunities in Baltimore. And the reason why I like it is just because of the affordability. I mean, it's very, very, very affordable. I bought Lake Avenue for $40,000. It's in Bel Air, Edison. No board ups. I bought Lake Avenue, like I said earlier, from an auction, bought it for 40, probably put about $15,000 into it. I currently have that property. I've had it for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now. I've had 2 tenants in there, and it's worth about 200,000 now. And another thing that I will mention is I never really looked at Baltimore as a city for appreciation. Like, I want to make my money going in, meaning I want to buy it right with equity. But I have received a lot of equity from these properties because now Baltimore is really starting to appreciate. So we buy in Baltimore because of the affordability. And then again, you've got to know the neighborhoods, and we'll talk about some neighborhoods. Strong rental demands, you guys. 53% of the residents rent in Baltimore. They pay rent. There's a large student population. John Hopkins is there, University of Maryland is there. But then there's other universities like Coppin State is there, Morgan State is there, Loyola, I can never pronounce that right, and other colleges there. So if you're into student housing, it's perfect. If you're into short-term rentals, midterm rentals, Baltimore is perfect. And so you have a lot of young professionals moving to Baltimore, again, because of the affordability, and they're renting. They may have jobs in DC, Philadelphia, New York, but with the advent of COVID, many people are working from home and they're virtual. And we do have virtual nomads that kind of go from city to city because they work virtually, and they go to Baltimore. So you have a strong demand for rentals. The Section 8 rentals, they've got a great Section 8 program. Almost all of my rentals in Baltimore are Section 8. I think maybe I have one or two market rate tenants. And so the Section 8 program is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful in Baltimore. All right. High cash flow potential. We talked about that. Baltimore generates high rental yields there. Investors can expect positive monthly cash flow. And so I have, and what I'd like to do in Baltimore, you guys, honestly, with all of my properties, is I like to get my properties paid for. And so I have a couple of properties in Baltimore that are paid for, and I'm taking advantage of the cash flow that comes with it. And so the cash flow that I have, I pay extra. I pay down on my mortgage balance so that I can get those properties paid off, because I'm going to use those properties in part for my retirement. And it's a lot easier paying off a property that you may be all in under 100,000. It's a lot easier paying that off versus, a property that you may buy, let's say in DC for 300,000. That's worth 400, 500,000. It's just a lot easier in Baltimore, although the property in DC probably going to give you a lot better equity over a period of time. DC is a city that you can gain a lot higher rate of appreciation than Baltimore. So that's the downside of Baltimore, the appreciation. But if you buy the property right, you take advantage of the cash flow. And then another strategy, you guys, is you can buy 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 properties in Baltimore and then hold on to those properties and then maybe eventually sell and then move up. Take that money and buy in better neighborhoods. One of our investors, some of you guys know Marquise, he's been in Baltimore. He had told me to go to Baltimore 25 years ago. And so I like to call him the king of Baltimore, but that's one thing that he's done. He had properties all over, and slowly but surely over the years, he sold some of his properties that were in what we considered maybe D neighborhoods, and took that money and bought in better neighborhoods. So that's also a great strategy for Baltimore. Ongoing urban redevelopment. I was in Baltimore last week, actually, and I saw an Under Armour, I think it's the new Under Armour headquarters. And so there's lots of ongoing urban redevelopment there. We know that John Hopkins is always building. That's the number one employer in the state of Maryland, not Baltimore, but the state of Maryland. And so there's programs. The city council is always trying to get investors, like I said, to buy. So vacants to value. There's always initiatives for that, where you can buy the properties as low as $1. Years ago it was $1. I forget how much it is now, but and then keep in mind though, on those properties, they're in very, very challenging neighborhoods. Vacants to values, those properties need a lot of work. But there is growth in popular areas. Fells Point, Harbor East. One of my favorites is Patterson Park, Canton. Those are all closer to the harbor. But I also like Bel Air Edison. I like there. I was introduced to Bel Air Edison 21213 many years ago, and so I started buying there. And other areas, I used to own a property, a 2-unit in West Baltimore on Edmondson Avenue in Edmondson Village. And so you just have to, you can't, like in DC, I don't necessarily have to look at a property in DC to know I want to buy it. Because, I know, well, number one, I know DC, but I know what the renovations are. And I know that DC, we don't really have board ups. Baltimore, you got to get in your car and go drive that neighborhood, drive that block, because what might look good on paper, the house next door might be a board up. The house across the street might be a board up. We were doing some marketing. We were calling absentee owners. I hired some virtual assistant to call absentee owners. And so they reached this absentee owner that said, yeah, I want to sell my property. And so I went and met with them. The property was in Harlem Park in West Baltimore. And so when I looked the property up, it looked great, big row house. But when I got there, board ups like across the street, board up right next door. So I told the gentleman that I would buy the property. Long story short, I negotiated, bought the property for $8,000. Gave him $8,000 and purchased the property. All I did was, my strategy was just to clean it out. So I hired a company, paid them $1,500, and they just cleaned it out because it was, it was junky. So cleaned it out, and then I gave that property to an auctioneer, Ashland Auctions. And so Ashland Auctions auctioned it off for, I think, somewhere between 25 and 30,000 for me in Harlem Park. It was cleaned up. It just needed some renovations. And so a gentleman purchased the property, and I asked him at the settlement table, why did you buy the property? He said, those board ups that are on the street, a buddy of his purchased those properties and we're renovating those properties. And so it just made sense. And so I just gave it back to the auctioneer. Auctioneer auctioned it off, and I was at the settlement table like 2 weeks. And so that is another strategy in Baltimore, especially with the properties in what I would consider challenging neighborhoods. But there are opportunities everywhere you look. Everywhere you look, there's opportunities in Baltimore. Baltimore has undervalued properties. I often get the question, you guys, what are the best neighborhoods? What are the best zip codes? And I could rattle off zip codes to you, but my answer is always every area, every zip code, there's pros and cons to that zip code, every single zip code. And so you've got to actually get into your car and look at those neighborhoods. And you can really build a great portfolio filled with wonderful cash flow that, for me, again, is part of my retirement. And I would want you guys to look at that too. Now, again, you got to take good care of the properties. I've been blessed to get good tenants that take care of the property. I check on them, nurture them, and you can really build. Well, one day, as time goes on, I'll sell. I recently sold one of mine, and I'll go over that one in a minute. Baltimore. So there's what's called opportunity zones. The federal government during the Trump administration came up with what's called opportunity zones. Basically, what an opportunity zone is really sort of a low income geographical area in a lot of cities. And if you purchase in those cities and you develop those properties and you hold on to those properties, I believe for at least 10 years, when you go to sell those properties, you basically don't have to pay either. You don't have to pay any taxes, any capital gain taxes, or the taxes are deferred. And so you have a lot of investors that go into opportunity zones in Baltimore, and they're buying 25 unit buildings, 100 unit buildings that are in those zones. You can Google opportunity zones in Baltimore, and you buy in those areas. When you go to sell, you're either paying no taxes or the taxes are deferred. And so Baltimore City is a great area if you want to invest in opportunity zones. Again, the economic growth in Baltimore is just great. Again, Johns Hopkins Hospital that I use is there. Under Armour headquarters is there. There's a lot of tech companies that are coming to that area. Transportation is really good in Baltimore. I'll talk about that in a second. So there's steady growth. People are coming to Baltimore because the cost of living is a lot lower there. Housing cost is a lot lower there. They've got great neighborhood bars, restaurants, great entertainment. And so people are really honestly flocking to that area. The investments there, you guys, really any kind of investing that you want to do, that you want to specialize in, is there in Baltimore. And so as part of our coaching program, we often take our coaching students to Baltimore to look at my properties or some of our students' properties. And so if you want to get into Airbnb, which is short-term rental or even midterm rentals, you've got a number of great hospitals, including Johns Hopkins, but a number of great hospitals there. So Baltimore is great for short-term rentals, midterm rentals. Baltimore is great for multifamily. The number one city in our area, the DMV, for multifamily. Number one, they're plentiful, and then number two, they're affordable. So you can get a 4-unit building in what I would consider a B, C plus neighborhood, 4-unit building for $250,000, $300,000. Whereas comparing that to DC, in Southeast DC, 4-unit building, 4 1-bedrooms, you're going to pay a minimum now of $600,000, $650,000. And so your money stretches there. Whereas you may not be able to afford that $600,000, and that's in Southeast DC. You may not be able to afford that, but you can in Baltimore. Student housing, again, if you're into that, that's wonderful. I've done a number of novations there. I've done a number of subject to deals there to creative financing strategies, all in Baltimore. And so whatever your strategy is, whatever it is, you can find that in Baltimore. And for the most part, I've done that. Like I said, I've had a 2-unit building in West Baltimore, another multifamily in Dundalk, and that's Baltimore County. Actually, I have flipped in Baltimore County. So I think that Baltimore City is good to buy and hold. Baltimore County, I think, is great for flipping. And so I have flipped sort of all around the Baltimore Beltway and have renovated and sold those properties. And so Baltimore, another thing I like about Baltimore is they do get a lot of tourists. Um, they have the harbor there, and most of you guys know have been to the Baltimore Harbor, which is wonderful. They have the Baltimore Orioles. They've got the Ravens there. It's really a great bustling city that my advice would be to really learn that city. Favorable legislation for investors. Again, they're trying to get investors there because they need our help. Like if you drive around Baltimore, I know many of you guys have, especially those that have been in our programs. Again, in every zip code, in some, the areas look extremely challenging. And so they need investors to come in and fix those properties up, and they give you great tax breaks, landlord friendly city. Section 8 is very easy. The ease of Section 8 is there. And so they want us to come to help them revitalize the city. The city was bustling in the 50s and 60s and 70s. The city was bustling because they were making a lot of money at the ports. And then when the ports dried up and other industries left, that's when Baltimore's downturn started happening. When Detroit started sending their cars and car parts overseas, they weren't using the Baltimore ports as much or anymore. And so that sort of started Baltimore's downturn. And then because there was such high unemployment all of a sudden, 70s and 80s, a lot of the residents who are unemployed started turning to drugs, heroin and other drugs like that. But now Baltimore is on the uprise with industries coming to Baltimore. Key neighborhoods. And you guys help me with some of you guys who have invested in Baltimore. Go to the chat. Let us know what your favorite areas of Baltimore is. I like Fed Hill, which is right downtown. I've put on here Canton, where the waterfront is. Patterson Park, which is now my favorite. But then Charles Village is 21218. I've invested there in Charles Village. Hamden, I know, I don't have where's my chat? I know Keith likes Hamden. And so Keith, yeah, so Keith put Hamden, look at that. So Keith put Hamden, so Hamden is here. And so I love those like quaint neighborhoods. So you drive up and it's a neighborhood, and it's got its own shops and bars and restaurants. And Baltimore has a lot of those. And those are great for like the travel nurses that need a midterm rental. So, when they get off of work, they can walk to, the local bars and things like that there. But then also like on the west side, there's great neighborhoods, east side, great neighborhoods. I own a property off of Northern Parkway. And that's East Baltimore, Northeast Baltimore. That's Northeast Baltimore off of Northern Parkway. And they have some great neighborhoods there. And so we bought properties between myself and all of our coaching students, throughout the whole city. And so if you guys have any of your favorite areas of Baltimore, go ahead and put them in the chat. All right, so this is the property that I recently sold. I actually sold this one last Friday, about a week ago. Someone referred me to this property probably about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. And it needed very little work. The lady was motivated to sell. Her Section 8 tenant had just moved out. She didn't want the property anymore. I negotiated and bought the property for $40,000. And didn't need much work. I didn't put much work into it. I rented it out to a Section 8 tenant, and she was my only tenant. She stayed there the whole time. And then about 3 or 4 months ago, she notified me and said that she was going to move. She had some reasons why she wanted, some personal reasons. And so she told me she wanted to move. So I had already um, spruced the house up really good before she moved out. I had redid the kitchen, put granite in there. I think I put new cabinets in there at the time, new appliances there. So I really didn't have much to do once she moved out. And she took really good care of the property. And so when she told me she wanted to move, I said, okay, I'll just spruce it up again, and then I'll rent it out. But then something told me just to go ahead and sell it and then use that money to, and I'm glad I did, use that money to purchase another property. And recently, this week, an opportunity came up. So I renovated the I did some what I would consider sprucing up, some minor renovations to make it more sellable. I looked on the MLS and I saw what the $200,000 homes in the area was selling, were what they look like. And so the comps were at the high comps were 200,000. And so and they had a half a bath. I just had a toilet in the basement. And so we turned that toilet, since it already had the plumbing in there, we turned that into a really nice powder room in the basement. And then we changed the flooring. We had carpet. We put LVP, luxury vein, LVP, luxury vinyl plank flooring throughout the house, new carpet upstairs, painted. And really, that's all. And it sold in about maybe a week or two. It went under contract in about a week or two. The punch out items, kind of plentiful. I got one of my contracts to go over there, and he just knocked out everything from the home inspection, and it sold. It sold in. It sold last. Was it last Friday? It sold last week. Actually, it says Lake Avenue on here. This is actually Richwood. But this was a great investment for me. Great investment, great street, never had board ups. It's about a 5 or 10 minute walk to those that know Baltimore, Loyola University, about 5 or 10 minute walk there. And so my thought was, when she said she wanted to move, my thought was to rent it out to a student. But then I just decided just to go ahead and sell it. And so I did. All right. Baltimore versus other cities. Again, very affordable. The rent to price ratio is very, very favorable compared to all the other cities in our area. And then, like I said earlier, Baltimore offers just a wonderful entry point for newer investors or investors that sort of are on a tight budget and want to start buying and holding. And then Baltimore versus other cities, if we look under factors, and so the medium home prices, look at this, have really, really gone up between 250,000 and 350,000, which really impresses me. But here's the thing, you can go to an auction, Ashland Auctions, Hubzu, AJ Billig, Alex Cooper, and buy properties on the courthouse, in front of the courthouse steps there in Baltimore, as I have. And the properties that that after repair value is 250, you can get those properties for under 100,000 now, well under 100,000. And so, and you do have a lot of homeowners there that you can negotiate with. So you can really, really buy low. We like to teach that our Mayo formula is 70% of the after repair value minus repair costs. You can easily buy in Baltimore for 50%. Easily buy 50% of the ARV minus repair costs. Market type more affordable for first-time home buyers and first-time investors. One bedroom on average is about $1,500. It is getting some appreciation, you guys, between 2 and 5%. Inventory levels is balanced, and some oversupply. There's a lot of inventory there for us as investors to purchase homes. Investment opportunities, it's emerging neighborhoods. So some of the neighborhoods are getting better and better, and you can buy for lower costs. Lots of commuting there. A lot of the job market is very, very diverse there. And the rent to price ratio is about 0.5%. You want it to be about between 1% to 0.5%. And so it's just really, really good there in Baltimore. There are some risks. There are some challenges. There are some of the neighborhoods there, the crime rate is high, so you have to make sure you pick the right neighborhoods. I've been binge watching The Wire, and so I completed season 1 yesterday, watching season 2 today. So I've been binge watching. So I'm looking at the neighborhoods that a lot of the neighborhoods that they filmed The Wire in, and we really don't buy in those neighborhoods, to be honest. We really don't buy in those neighborhoods. But the other neighborhoods, what I look for, I often get addresses almost on a daily basis. I've got this property, or you might be interested in this property in Baltimore. First thing I say is, are there any board ups? And so if there's no board ups, then I may go take a look and try to negotiate. That's the first thing. I want to know what the neighborhood looks like, not necessarily the house itself, but the houses next door, the houses across the street. What does that block look like? Because if I'm going to buy and hold, the end renter, or the end buyer, if I'm flipping, they've got to live there, and you want them to be comfortable. And there's a lot of neighborhoods, so many neighborhoods that B neighborhoods, C+ neighborhoods in Baltimore. All right, you guys. Any questions, you guys? Any questions before we wrap up? How did we do in time? Oh, we did really good today. Let's see. Justine has let's see. Is 21216 a good area? It is. But like I said before, Justine, you've got to go look. You've got to go look at the property and just make sure that there's no board ups. Go look at the neighborhood. I love 21216. I actually love that street as well. But you've got to take a good look at neighborhoods. And so we've taken our coaching students to Canton. We've taken them to Patterson Park a lot. We've been on the West Side a lot. We've been all around, and we've gone to great neighborhoods, very, very affordable neighborhoods. And so you've got to take a really good look at what those neighborhoods present, so that you can make a good decision on whether or not you want to buy. I'm open to JVing or partnering up, you guys, if you find a property, or if you want to wholesale. One thing I didn't mention is Baltimore is great for wholesalers as well, because we have investors like me that are very, very interested in Baltimore. And a lot of our coaching students, I think we've been coaching for many years, and Baltimore is the #1 area that our coaching students go to purchase properties. One of our investors, Danielle, bought a property. I forget that neighborhood. It'll come to me. Mount Vernon. She bought a property in Mount Vernon, and I think initially she wanted to use it as an Airbnb, but she put it on Furnish Finders, and she was able to get a nurse. So she started renting it out as a midterm rental. She put it on Furnish Finders and got, I think she got a nurse or two that way. And then Mount Vernon is another one of those areas that has its own restaurants and bars and things like that. And so Mount Vernon is a great area. Any other questions, you guys? Any other question? I want to talk just a little bit about some training that we have coming up that I'll go even deeper into Baltimore. It's our live. I'm going live on October the 28th. I'm going live on October the 28th. It's a 4-day live event. It's very, very affordable. It's $197. Very, very affordable. I'm going to be talking about DC as an emerging market. So I'll talk about Baltimore, but I'll also talk about DC, PG County, why it's so stable, why the DMV, in my opinion, is the #1 area in the United States to invest in, because we've got the best of all worlds between DC itself, Prince George's County, Charles County is emerging, and then we've got Baltimore and all that Baltimore has to offer. We're going to go over how do we find these neighborhoods? What are the ways that we find the marketing? What's the marketing that we do to find these properties? And then what's the best strategies once we do find them? Are we going to do novations? Are we going to do subject twos? Are we going to flip these properties, wholesale these properties? Student housing, this area is just full of great opportunities for student houses because of all the universities that we have here in the DMV. Multifamily investing, I'll talk about that. And then how are we going to finance these properties? Again, are we going to use creative financing? I'll talk about the private lenders that we have that will lend you money, hard money lenders, joint venture opportunities, and then conventional opportunities, Burr method, and all that has. And so if you're interested, here is our, let's see if I can copy and paste this link and put it in the chat. If you're interested in this in our 4-day course, so Keith beat me to it, looks like. Yep, you can click on Keith's link should be working. Yeah, you can. I don't think, no, Keith, I don't think that's the link. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Click on the link, or you guys write this down. I'll also put that, let's see. I'll also put in the chat. If you guys want to do a one-on-one with me to talk about anything real estate investing related, or if you have questions about our 4-day course, you can go to my scheduler, gbschedule.com. Just go to gbschedule.com, and we'll talk about our 4-day course starting October the 28th. If you have questions about anything related to Baltimore, anything related to DC as it relates to investing, you may have a deal that you want me to vet. I'm happy to vet that deal for you. Or discuss anything investing related. I'm happy to discuss with you. Go to GB Schedule. All right, you guys. Any questions, comments? We're looking really good on time. All right. So look, you guys, I do think that Baltimore is just wonderful, really, to get started. It took me many years to be convinced of that. But once I got into Baltimore, it did take me a while to kind of learn it. And I'm still learning, to be honest with you. But I feel very comfortable. I feel very comfortable investing in Baltimore and knowing the neighborhoods. And so if you have any questions about Baltimore, just let me know. Let's see, Monica's saying that link also includes the investor toolkit. Oh, and so click on the link for the investor toolkit. It'll tell you everything that you need in terms of contracts is in the investor toolkit, scripts, what's in there? Contracts, scripts. There's about lessons. There's about, I don't know, 20, 30 different contracts and things like that in the flyers that we've done over the years. All the marketing tools that you need is in our investor toolkit. But all the contracts, our wholesaling contract, our assignment contract is in there that I use. The subject to contract that I use is in there. The novation contract that I use is in there. Everything is in there. That's all that's in there. All right. Ricardo said I did a good job. Thank you, Ricardo. Ricardo, I think, Ricardo, you was one of the first ones on here. I should give you a prize. For houses for auctions, do you need to have the money on hand? So Justin, you just need your deposit on hand. That's all you need is your deposit. And can you look at the houses before you bid? Some of the auctions you can. And so the property that I bought in Bel Air, Edison, 21213, it was on hubzu.com, hubzu.com. And this was one of the properties on Hubzu that I could look at. And so I was grateful for that. I was able to get the combo to the lockbox, looked at it, and said, wow, this property is really, really nice. It was 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bath. Didn't need a lot. We put about $15,000 worth of work into it. And I bid on that. The bidding went into late night. I got a long story about that one. But and so that property, I won the bid, and I think they needed the deposit within 24, 48 hours. And then the rest of the financing up on settlement, which we settled in about 30 days. So that's how that works. All right, you guys, click on the link. We put the link in the chat if you're interested in our, let's see if I can put it in again. If you're interested in our 4-day course, we'd love to see you there, love to get you started. Obviously, tonight was not enough. We talked about Baltimore. There's other areas that we'll talk about in the 4-day course, but I also want you to learn the key to your investing. The key is finding deals. The key is finding deals. And so we'll talk about how to find the deals, how to finance the deals, and then what strategy fits you. You may start off as a wholesaler, but ultimately, the ultimate strategy, you guys, the ultimate strategy is your buy and hold strategy. You've got to learn how to do that. And whether it's you're going to buy and hold residential, multifamily, if you're going to do student housing, short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, whatever that is. And so we'll go over all of those things in that 4-day course that starts October 28th. October 28th, we're going to go for an hour. That's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We go for an hour. It's live, and you get to ask as many questions as you can. All right, you guys, that's all I have. Thank you guys so much for being here. Again, if you want to set up a one-on-one appointment with me, just go to my scheduler, gbschedule.com. I'm happy to answer all your questions. Have a wonderful night. Take care. God bless. And I'll talk to you guys soon.